Right. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. Colleen's actually going to start us off today, but I just wanted to make a few announcements. The first one, somebody asked us, so I'm going to put this on the recording. Our podcast Q&As are have been usually we used to be able to keep them at a very consistent date or day. So like the second Wednesday of the month. But with our teaching schedules, we have just needed to make them a bit more flexible. So I wanted to show you where you can always find the dates of them. They're actually on our Reiki lifestyle calendar. So let me just pull this up really quick. Sorry for those of you that are listening. You go to reikilifestyle.com and you go to the classes tab. And mine looks a little bit different because I'm logged into my WordPress. But if you scroll all the way down on that menu, if you go to class calendar, that actually shows all of the things for the year. And so you're able to see, here's May, you're able to see when the podcast Q&As are. So for example, May is on May 7th. Those are at 9 a.m. Then the next one is on June 18th. So again, they've had to be a little less consistent than they have been in the past. So just an awareness of where you can always find that and the things that we have going on, classes and things that you can find that in the same place. That's like our Google Calendar that we have embedded into our website. So just a heads up on that. Also, another thing, actually, since I've got the website shared, and for those of you that are listening, I'll describe where to find it. Our registration for our in-person animal Reiki class is actually up. So if you go to that same classes tab at reikilifestyle.com, it's actually in a little bit of a different place. It's in this destination classes tab. So anytime we are teaching somewhat out of the ordinary classes, they are going to be here in this destination classes page. So you can see Colleen's Omega classes are here. The Japan classes that she's teaching with William Rand are there. And then our in-person animal Reiki training classes are now there. So you can go to those pages and you can learn more about them, the details of where we're going to be. Even things like if you scroll down, we have links to lodging that you can use if you're coming from out of town, things like that. So you can go and find that in the destinations menu on our website. So I just wanted to put that, but registration's up and you're welcome to register now if you would like. It's going to be amazing. And there's lots more information about that on there. So I think that's it for the announcements. We do have classes coming up in May. So we have animal Reiki classes coming up in May online because I know not everybody can get to the in-person classes. Sometimes the summertime can be hard for that with kids out of school and things like that. So we do have in-person Animal Reiki 1 and I'm sorry, online Animal Reiki 1 and 2 and Animal Reiki Master in May. And those are amazing classes as well. So you can go to Animal Reiki 1 and 2 to find those. That's in the slightly different place that you're more used to. So I think that those are the announcements for that. I did also want to make an announcement for, I know a lot of you listen later, but for those of you that do join us live here or, maybe you join live every once in a while, one thing that we have always established about this group that for the most part, unless it's, things like a natural disaster or something like that, we keep this space like not just politics, but like during COVID, other than just sending Reiki during the um, two people and two things during the time frame, we kept it opinion free for the most part. And so it's just been a while since we have sent out that reminder. We decided a long time ago that this place and this space is a safe space to come and just get away from all of that. We have it inundated in every other part of our life, and that's enough. So we are able to take this hour and a half to just leave that at the door for a little while. Doesn't mean that we can't send Reiki to ourselves or put the intention into the circle and silently, like, okay, I'm needing Reiki for the different things, but we're putting that intention in silently. Reiki knows where to go, knows what to do about that. But we are going to continue to send out that reminder that we don't put those things in the chat, or that Colleen and I have been very intentional, and Danny have been very intentional not talking about those kinds of things for the most part. And so I'm just going to go ahead and put that reminder out there again, that we do ask that we stay away from all of those kinds of topics while we are here in this circle together. Everybody knows everything that's going on. And we're all very aware, just as we have been during these really unprecedented and challenging times. And so we all know that. And so that is a really big intention that we've set as a part of this circle, that it's very important to us that we keep this circle free from all of that. Let's just give ourselves a break for a little while. And so if you do need Reiki for some of those things, for support for some of those things, just go ahead and in your own mind's eye, or, even if you have to say it out loud to yourself, you can add that into the circle, but let's keep it out of the chat, things like that, because it is helpful for us, and it's helpful for, I think, everybody in the circle. And as somebody said in there, they're sensitive and they're very appreciative of that. And Colleen and I are sensitive to that as well. We're very sensitive people, and so any back and forth, any divisiveness in this circle is also challenging for us and makes me very anxious. I'm very, like, I have to stay away from that in an online format. Like in my personal life, that might be a little bit different, but in an online format, like, I have to be cognizant of that for myself. And so that's another piece of that intention. As we always say in this circle, stay stable, be kind. And for us, that's also an easier way for us to do that as facilitators of the space for ourselves and for everybody that is here. So I just wanted to make that announcement again, because it's been a little while since we've said those kinds of things.
Thanks, Robin. Oh,
We used to
well,
say that all the time, and we haven't said it in a while.
we haven't said it in a really long time.
Yeah.
And actually, and just so anybody knows, it's not because it showed up anywhere. It's just a reminder, like we need to just, yeah, speak up. But, we do talk about that from all perspectives too, though, with Reiki, because what we decided this space would be a healing and empowerment space, and how to use Reiki for everything that is going on. And I think for me, I use the euphemism, everything that's going on, to say all of it without getting specific, because the specifics are unique for each person. Everyone here has different circumstances. So we've been really clear that what we want to do in this space is to be community, to share Reiki, take this time, an hour and a half, to be about us. Like, how nice is that, to just be there? And for those of you that are listening later, to just be able to be a part of that community energy, even through the recordings. And so it's been very intentional on our part. And, today we're going to talk about Reiki healing for others, and why Reiki is the practice for this moment in time. And it's so relevant to what Robin's talking about also, because there's just so much, and so much is happening everywhere for a lot of people in unprecedented ways. And each of us needs to have the tools that we individually need to be able to take care of ourselves, navigate it all, and thrive through it all, be able to, and whatever that means. I mean, even thriving is a word that for me, I always have to kind of like stop and think, okay, what does that mean? I think right now, to me, the most important part of it is to start with using Reiki to stay stable and be kind, and then moving into that frequency and that energy helps me to gain clear thinking and how I do that. And so Reiki has very specific energy that helps us to get there. So on consciousness levels, physical levels, resource levels, problem solving, all kinds of things, innovation, creativity, manifesting dreams, what are the dreams even? Going through spiritual awakening, going through job decisions, relationship things going on, um, finances, all kinds of things are going on for people. So how do we use Reiki? So this whole month we've been talking about Reiki as the healing practice for this moment. And last week we talked about it for self. So this week, what we really want to do is talk about how we can use Reiki healing for others and participate in a way that is realistic for each of us. So for you, each of you is in a different circumstance. We're in a different circumstance. And how you share Reiki with others Reiki will meet you where you are. So let's say you are in a place right now that you have a lot going on, and it feels overwhelming to think about, how do I share Reiki with others? How do I share Reiki for the world circumstances? How do I share Reiki for natural disasters, animals, all the different things we can think of with it. And how do we share Reiki so that people do well? Like, we care about wellness. That's so much a part of just our hearts and why we're here. And, of course, we know the wellness starts with ourselves, but we also share it with others. So Reiki will meet you where you are. For me, what Reiki does is it helps me feel empowered that I do have something I can do in the world the way I need to do it, the way it's working for me in any given time, cycle of life, because we go in and out of cycles. Some cycles I'm in where I can spend a lot of hours in, self Reiki, Reiki meditation, really deep diving in it. And then I've been in cycles where that all has to be on the fly. Like, it has to be able to be while I'm doing all the things I'm doing that are necessary to live my daily life. And we go in and out of cycles like that. So understanding that Reiki will meet you where you are is a really big piece of, for me, the inner peace that the energy of Reiki helps me have. When I first learned Reiki, there were a lot of really rigid rules about it. There were a lot of, like, the right way that you have to practice Reiki. And if you are doing it for others, there is this one right way that you have to do it. That was back in 2000, so a long time ago, but things were still a lot more rigid and strict. And I would say for me, it felt like there were a lot of incorrect ways to do Reiki. So when the evidence-based history of Reiki was revealed, and we were able to go back and see how Usui had practiced Reiki in a um, very spiritual style, very intuitive style. And we also know that he attuned 2,000 people in 4 years, which is a significant amount of people to even be able to like physically make that happen. And then you're talking about the 1920s in Japan with no infrastructure. So, how he shared Reiki with people, he was working in the natural disasters of Tokyo and the earthquake and giving Reiki with his breath, with his eyes, with one hand on one foot on the other. He was not saying it has to have these specific rules in order for me to give Reiki. So, over the course of evolution and the way things happened, by the time I learned Reiki in 2000, there were a lot of very strict rules. Well, then when we discovered that Usui actually practiced a very fluid, very intuitive style, that opened the door for us to be able to move into our own intuitive style, the way that Reiki can work with us to work with others in the way that is realistic. And so for me, for instance, I receive a lot of prayer requests. I mean, that's part of our world. And I have, one of the ways that I can send it for those well, you can't quite see it on my camera, but those that can see my camera, I have my peace grid behind me and prayers go into that. That sends Reiki to others. But a lot of times I'm thinking about others. And I do believe in the telepathy of Reiki and that thought does go through the biofields, the electromagnetic fields, the antennas that other people can receive. Um, However I'm doing it and in whatever way is realistic in the moment. So that's the first thing I think that's really helpful to understand with giving Reiki to others in the world, in your family. Sometimes you're going to be in person. Robyn is actually going to we're going to do a whole group um, Reiki session here today rather than going into breakout rooms. We're going to do the whole group all together and do distance Reiki that way. And she's going to go through some real demonstrations on like some of the specific practices that you can use. I love, I work with a surrogate. I also have an animal surrogate that I work with, and I work with a surrogate, and sometimes I'm able to really like just be engaged with that Reiki energy and spend a lot of time with sending Reiki to others, to natural disasters, to different circumstances that, are part of my everyday life. And so I love when I get to do that and that I get to really share it in a very experiential way for me. So that is one of the big differences when you are sharing Reiki more on the fly or, um, in a flash moment of I'm thinking about you, I love you, I send you healing. Or when you are spending time in holding a surrogate and really engaged for a length of time, the biggest difference with it is your difference as a practitioner. We have various experiences and both have good experiences. Because one of the things that I've learned with sharing Reiki for others on the fly, um, I also have what I would think of as, something that we think of as serendipity. like, oh, now more serendipities seem to be happening because I'm working with Reiki energy in that way. Like the energy of it, I'm doing it at a flash, it comes back in a flash. And so I get to have more of those experiences that to me feel like insight, like, oh, okay, I got it. When I'm doing Reiki in a length of time with a surrogate, and then, we'll talk about in person, like, if they're right there with you. But if I'm doing it for a length of time, I get to go into that depth of Reiki energy of how, when you're the practitioner, it takes you into that deep state. Sometimes I have mind chatter, so if you have mind chatter when you're trying to do distance Reiki and suddenly it's like, wait, I'm not having that deep experience everybody talks about, that happens too. That's the next good part about Reiki is it knows how to do what it does. It's operating through intention and invitation. And permission. Because one of the things with Reiki energy that we know, it will never impose itself on someone. We can't make it impose itself on someone. So let's say you have an idea that, oh, I'm sending Reiki for this outcome for this person, and that is what I've determined they need, and that's not what they need. Reiki just goes in for what they do need, or if they don't want to receive it at all, it won't go to them. It will always respect free will always, operate from that, the higher realms of consciousness, the enlightened realms, the enlightened energies. So it never imposes. So you as the practitioner can trust that when you are sending Reiki, it is going to go in the way that it needs to go. We always want those deep experiences, but sometimes mind chatter happens. Reiki is still working. And so sometimes then, one of the things that I would say as a practitioner, one of the skills I've developed mostly, I'm never absolute, mostly, is I'm at least able to observe the experience I'm having rather than evaluate it. So let's say I'm sending Reiki and I'm in mind chatter or my mind wanders or whatever happens. It doesn't have to be mind chatter, but whatever happens, maybe you blank out completely. Um, what I've learned is I observe it rather than evaluate it because it always has information. So even if it is, let's say it is mind chatter and I'm working on another person and sometimes I feel like my mind is all about the different things I'm thinking about. And then I find out it's actually a lot about what they're thinking about. They've had mind chatter. And then also other times it clarifies for me and also helps me understand, oh, they have a lot of really scattered attention right now. And then sometimes it's all mine. So it's not always to do with something with them, but I would say a good amount of the time when I feel distracted in a session that I'm sending or mind chatter or something like that, it has to do with the session. If I stay in that place of listening, like what's it trying to do? And I can observe it. Our observations, our direction, everything is not really required for you to send Reiki. So I'm also speaking to people here who have not done a lot of distance Reiki. And so or have not sent it to like world events or had a lot of experience with Reiki as well as people who are experienced with it. Um, sometimes what people can feel when, you're deciding if you're going to send Reiki, is a concern about whether you know what to do, or if you're going to do it right, or more accurately, we can think, am I doing it right? But you can think more, am I doing it wrong? The main way that you can do things wrong is with integrity. Everything else you can practice Reiki and allow it to guide you and show you ways that it is working for you to work with others. And so Reiki is going to do the work. You don't have to worry about how you're sending it in a way that is like, what if I'm doing it wrong? Because it will still go to the person or to the event or to the situation, simply because now it's been invited. Reiki energy is enlightened. It's always operating from a higher level of consciousness. It's always operating from a non-dual energy. So what I mean by that, here on the earth, we live in duality, right? So we have different frequencies, higher and lower frequencies, behaviors, everything. In Reiki energy, it is a non-dual energy. There is only love and higher levels of it. There is only higher consciousness and higher levels of it. So you can trust that it knows what to do. Also, sometimes the thing that is helpful to understand is not everybody receiving has the same perception of themselves receiving. So if you are sending Reiki energy and it's not that perceptible to the person that you're sending to, or the situation that you're sending to, or you have doubts about whether it's working, just know that it will always work the way that it is intended for that person, at the place it meets them where they are too. So wherever they are and whatever ability they have to receive and perceive what they are receiving, just let that be for them. You as the practitioner aren't in control of that. So you can just send and know that they will receive the way they do. Sometimes people receive uncomfortably. That happens. It can be, there can be discomfort with what they receive. So I'm talking about from the spectrum of they're not really aware of what they received, all the way to discomfort the way they received, and then also some, amazing awarenesses of what they've received. So the spectrum of their experience is, is vast, and understanding even when they receive like this fantastical experience or amazing healing, or this sense of empowerment and wellness, and things turn around for them immediately. This one isn't as much because of how you sent it either. So both directions are still because the Reiki energy works with each person in the exact right place for them, meets them where they are. It meets them through their belief system. You don't have to worry about their belief system. And if I am working with a person that has a different belief system, I just work with it their way. So however they talk about God or spirituality or goddess or biofield, I don't have to worry about that either as a practitioner. Reiki energy meets them where they are. So that is why it is a really great practice for today. Because truly, you guys, you can send Reiki the way that works for you. You can help the way that, most of us are here because we do care. We want to help raise the collective consciousness. We want to bring light into the world. We want people to be well. We want to be well. We care about the animals. We care about the planet. We care about the water. We care about it all. And we care about receiving, and that is a whole big piece right now. And so, Reiki gives us a way that we can do this work in the way that we can. It doesn't deplete our own energy because the energy is coming through us, not from us. Whatever you are managing right now, whatever you are creating or manifesting right now, the Reiki energy will work with you the way that is, the best way for you. It brings connection and across beliefs and cultures and experiences. And what we see right now is that it's really creating a lot of community because the energy itself meets people where they are. It's easy to learn, it's easy to receive, it's easy to do. It does not have a lot of demands and rituals, and you have to do it this way, you have to earn it and deserve it, all those things. You simply receive it, and when you share it with others, it's flowing through you to them, and you as the practitioner can be in the receiving of the energy while it's flowing through you and have your experience of it in the way that you need it and allow it to just flow through you for whatever purpose that you have for it. So anyway, yeah, I love this topic. I guess more than anything, what really happened for me was that I knew as a child that I cared about contributing to wellness in the world. Like I was conscious of that always. And in 10th grade, I had a teacher. I went to school in San Diego and like right by the beach and in the 70s. So I had a very open, we had different classes than in other parts of the world, I think. So surfing PE and this was general semantics and meditation and things like that. So my teacher then, his nickname was Red Houghton, Vernon Houghton, is the first person who taught me Gandhi's teaching of, you know, be the difference you want to see in the world. At 16, I knew that was it. Like, oh, that's it. And my husband and I have been married for 50 years this year, and he was in high school with me, and we both agreed to that. Like, that is, yes, we care about that. And so finally, Reiki gave me a way to do it. And really, even going back to what Robyn was talking about at the beginning of our gathering today, I feel like I have something that empowers me to be able to share Reiki, make a difference the way that I can, in a way that I can, that is realistic. And I do know it makes a difference as we contribute wellness in our own lives, as we care about it for others and join together to care about it for others and share this way. For me, it has been a really important way that the energy fulfills that caring about making a difference in the world.